Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of A Diary of a Crypto CEO. The point of this series is to give you some insight into the world of what it's like being a CEO of a cryptocurrency exchange. We have here the CEO of One Trading, Josh Barraclough. Each episode, we're going to deep dive into what it's like to be the top of a cryptocurrency exchange and just some insight into his life, insight into the industry, and just general catching up on the ongoing stuff that Josh gets up to. So this is the first episode. Josh, welcome. How you feeling?
Yeah, always good to chat about what's happening, Shilly. So feeling good.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I think as it's the first episode, I think it's always the best part to kind of start with kind of your journey, right? It would be great to get an idea as to how you first came into the crypto space, and then also how did that kind of lead into you becoming the CEO of One Trading?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's funny, right? I guess I never, if I kind of play my career back a bit, it wasn't my plan. My long-term plan is to be the CEO of a digital asset venue, right? It was kind of very different. So maybe kind of taking a few steps back. So I started in strategy consulting. Commodities trading, M&A, investment, corporate divestiture, like literally everything. We built complex models, did gas trading strategies, put bids in on hydroelectric plants, kind of everything, right? And so kind of front to back, like loads and lots of stuff in capital markets. And then had a brief stint then after that building a fintech, so retail facing fintech company. And then really for the longest part of my career, I then went to JP Morgan, where I built up a team called the fintech team. So our mandate really in the corporate and investment bank was to try and predict what was happening in terms of I guess kind of macro market strategies. So kind of how was the capital markets industry evolving? How could we continue to position JP Morgan to be the number one investment bank in the world? And really, what we would do is we would launch businesses. We'd look at new revenue lines. We'd look at cost optimization, and we'd invest in companies. So we did a ton of company investment, and incubation and kind of everything. And really, I would say kind of set a lot of the standard really in the industry for actually taking good practical ideas and assessing trends in the market, and then doubling down on that with solid execution by investing in companies and then looking to deploy that for the really kind of the benefit of our customers and the bank. So that really gave me a huge amount of exposure to emerging trends, right? So I mean, really we were kind of the bleeding edge within the bank of like what was happening, whether it was digital assets, whether it was like homomorphic encryption, like data encryption and data models, whether it was AI, trading strategies, whatever it was, right? Our job was to try and identify the stuff that was truly going to be groundbreaking and really kind of look at how we could use our position as the biggest bank in the world to kind of make these things successful. So as a result of that, I ended up sitting on the board of a number of companies and helping build out the companies as well, as kind of taking kind of my day job in kind of defining the digital strategy for the setup. So I guess kind of a long-winded way of saying like I got to see lots and lots of different parts of kind of the emerging capital markets value chain, and also through kind of doing this company building side of things as well, where I was I'm sitting on the board and kind of really advising and pushing a lot of these CEOs. I kind of really got the bug for actually wanting to kind of step out and build a company and kind of really do that with kind of the experience I picked up. So I guess I kind of reached a stage of I wanted to do something different, and it just so happened that at the time Bitpanda had just raised a load of money. They'd just done a kind of a very big Series C round at $4 billion, and they had an exchange in place, but they really kind of wanted to take it to the next level. So actually met with the founders of Bitpanda and they brought me in to kind of be the CEO of the exchange. So that's really kind of where it all started, I would say, and that was kind of, I guess, kind of phase one of me dipping my toes into the crypto world. I felt I had like a relatively good understanding of how things worked, and was shocked at like actually how far off I was once I kind of got in and got into the weeds and really kind of understood the setup for what was happening. So really, you know, the way to think about it is I then jump into Bitpanda. You've got Bitpanda, who's a really kind of their main product is this neo broker style Robinhood like product, which is, you know, trying to cater for, I guess, kind of everything crypto, traditional assets, and everything like that. And then you had the exchange, which was, you know, it had some work done, but was kind of broadly unloved and needed a lot more investment to kind of get to where it needed to be. So we kind of embarked on a pretty ambitious project there in terms of, I guess, kind of the vision for what I wanted to do with the exchange. And then while that's all happening, you have this kind of backdrop of, you know, the market starting to go sideways, and really kind of at that point, you know, we took a look at the exchange, and we took a look at like the broker, and it was clear that for Bitpanda, it was really important that they needed to kind of focus their time and investment on actually making the broker the best product it could be. And so, you know, that kind of, you know, put us in a position with the exchange where, you know, where I guess I felt that for the business to be successful and really hit the vision of what we wanted it to be, it needed additional investment. It needed kind of a different structure in place. It needed to kind of be separate from Bitpanda. And so, you know, at that point, I started talking to the board about actually taking the business out of Bitpanda, raising money separately so we could fund it in the way that we wanted to, and build the venue we wanted to, and you know, to some extent buy out a lot of the kind of the Bitpanda shareholding. So it's kind of this fully separate entity. So quite a, I guess, kind of quite a long journey to kind of get to that, and a lot of complexity within that. But yeah, you know, if I kind of go front to back, you know, I kind of summarize it as I had a ton of capital markets experience. I then got a ton of experience in, like, you know, building fintechs and kind of like, you know, what were kind of the hot topic and you know, long-standing market trends. I was then able to take that to kind of Bitpanda, come up with a strategy around kind of how we wanted to build the exchange, and then obviously take that exchange out and set up One Trading, which is kind of what we have today. So yeah, a bit of a long-winded answer, I guess, but that's kind of the summary.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love listening to that story, mate. And it's amazing how, you know, one opportunity often then leads into the next, right? And as your capabilities and skill sets kind of grow and experience grows, all of a sudden new doors open for new opportunities. And here we are sitting here with One Trading. Obviously, you know, it's been a few months since One Trading launched. You know, things have been going great. I know we've been updating the community and some of the AMAs that we've been doing. But what would you say kind of sets One Trading apart from all of the other crypto exchanges that are out there?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's funny. It's probably a bit more topical in my head at the moment in terms of how we've been trying to think and refine the messaging a little bit on this. But I think the thing that sets us apart is we're really, I guess, we're trying to take the traditional finance lens, or kind of all the great things from traditional finance, and bring that to the digital asset market, right? And really, there's a lot of bad things in traditional finance, right? And you know, let's just kind of be clear on that, because I'm sure a lot of people will jump on straight away and be like, it's not the epitome of the gold standard, right? There's a lot of bad stuff, so I'll just throw that out there. But
That's caveat.
there's also a lot of good stuff, and I think the two things that I guess we've kind of honed in on is technology. So we think there's some really good tech in traditional finance, and some really good engineers and quants who kind of really understand the space. And I think the other piece is kind of the regulatory lens as well. So I guess kind of what sets us apart and how do I think about it is we've gone down the route of basically trying to apply traditional finance tech standards to what we're building. So the tech that we're building should be the same quality as what you would expect to see on a traditional trading venue. So, you know, we're talking, and this is like latency, this is execution, this is price discovery, this is like everything front to back. Like, we want it to be as good as, you know, the CME or the London Stock Exchange, or, you know, like some of the big FX brokers. Like, we want the speed and consistency to be there. And actually, to that extent, we built the fastest exchange in the world. We've actually just run some testing with Amazon that we're going to be releasing hopefully this week or next week in an Amazon blog. But they basically took our exchange, they put just under 40 billion orders through the exchange in 24 hours to see if they could break it, and there was zero degradation of the kind of application, and it was running at sub 100 microseconds, which is ludicrously fast in comparison to like every other venue out there. And this is kind of running 400,000 orders a second, and it's just like, this is kind of epitomizes kind of like how we think about tech standards and what we're building. Like, this is what you would expect to see in kind of traditional finance from a trading venue. It's so much better than what's out there at the moment, and we think we'll win like volume. So there's a tech side, and we'll kind of continue to build like good tech on spot, on kind of instant trade, on derivatives, but then it's the licensing side of things as well. So we're 2 years into this now, and we're trying to basically bring the standard of digital asset or kind of crypto licensing to the same level as traditional finance. And so we will be kind of a regulated trading venue on a par with the likes of, again, like the London Stock Exchange, right? We're operating to the same regulatory standards that no one else is operating at the moment. Like, that's kind of the setup we'll have. And so it's kind of bringing the best of those aspects and then combining it with the best of crypto, right? So there's some amazing innovations in crypto and digital assets that we then want to pile on top of that. So things like perpetual futures. So our futures exchange is going to be built on like a lot of the innovations that have come out of the crypto world, but also we can apply that to traditional securities as well. So yeah, it's what sets us apart is definitely, I think it's our approach to tech, it's our approach to licensing, and the people that we have in the team that are kind of building all of that and pulling it together. And I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think anyone else has taken that approach to how they built a crypto venue to date.
Yeah, perfect. It definitely sounds like you guys are taking the approach of like this perfect blend, right? So no, I absolutely love to hear it. I mean, one of the things that you talked quite a bit about, mentioned, is obviously regulation. In the crypto industry, we know it can be super volatile, and obviously regulatory changes are happening all the time. How do you kind of like navigate this landscape, and how do you make sure, especially the exchange, kind of complies with all the relevant laws and regulations?
Yeah, I think it's a great one, right? I think it's for us it's not there's two parts. Obviously, there's you kind of follow the rules and laws and regulation that's put out there, and that's kind of, I kind of class that as probably doing the bare minimum, right? That's kind of like there's kind of that approach, and obviously some people just don't even abide to the bare minimum, and without naming names, we all know who they are. um, and then there's the other side of it, which is, I think, kind of what we're trying to do, which is define the standards, right? So instead of being, I guess, kind of like takers of policy, we're certainly, we feel like we're out there like writing the policies and processes for things like how margining is done and how cross collateralization is done, and how, like, what a perpetual future looks like, or and all of this. So I think we've certainly kind of gone to the, I guess, kind of the more extreme in terms of like trying to set those standards as opposed to being takers of the policies. And I'd like to think that we kind of continue to do that and continue to work with the regulators. Now, obviously, look, it takes time, it's slow, and like sometimes I think even in our team, we've had like there's been a lot of frustration where it's been like, man, like should we have just like gone to market, like don't worry about the regulation, like do this. And it's just not our DNA, right? I think our DNA is very much like we want to be there in 10 years time. I think that's the thing. And I think a lot of these companies won't be there in 10 years time, and they probably won't be there in 1 year or 2 years time, because ultimately, like, there will come a point where you just can't operate in the way that a lot of these companies are operating. So I think, and our kind of view is, if we set the standard and the standard is high, we're also kind of making an unfair barrier to entry for anyone else who wants to come after us. So it's kind of really about protecting our customers, protecting our clients' interests, and doing it in a way that is fair and is in keeping with kind of really how finance has been run for the last like 10, 20, 30 years. So that's a big part of how we think about it. And we have there's kind of a couple of elements to this, right? So we obviously have the OTF, where we're working on the derivative side, but we took the decision to set up our spot trading business in Italy, like very deliberately. And we put a trust in place for all of our customers, and that's quite a cool thing. And I think if you look around, it's quite a unique thing. And what that means is that if you put your assets into our trust, or like into our custodial setup as an exchange, then they're your assets. It's one-to-one, right? There's no rehypothecation. There's nothing around like actually being able to lend or borrow your assets. And if you look at kind of most of these other venues, like it's just kind of what they're doing, right? They're doing that. That's how they're making money. And yeah, it's kind of, it ticks that box of bare minimum. So yeah, I like to think that we're trying to do the right thing with everything we're doing.
Yeah, love it. I think now more than ever, right, the crypto space, for all of us that have been in it for quite a while, trust is something that we really need to kind of invest in and lean on, mate. And I love the way you talk about that long-term vision as well. I think that blends perfectly into what One Trading are trying to do, especially in such a kind of fast-paced industry, right? This thing's growing all the time, and that's why we do see this often short-term play where there's the next big thing today, but then once the hype dies, they're gone tomorrow. And
Yeah.
you're just not
Yeah.
going to get anywhere in an industry if we're not being consistent and we're invested in trustworthy exchanges and businesses. So
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
absolutely love to hear that, mate. Talking about obviously the nature of the rapid growth and of the the industry. Obviously, innovation comes with that, constant innovation as well. I'm just intrigued. How do you tend to stay up to date with like latest developments and trends in the space? Where do you tend to go?
Do you know what? It's there's so many different places. I think this is probably, I mean, I actually, it's funny. I have my Feedly app where I subscribe to kind of a lot of things. So I kind of I'll do like the morning kind of commute, like rundown of like what's going to happen. So that's kind of usually my first thing in the morning, like just quick swipe across and what's happening. Is there anything I missed? That's kind of one element. Um, I'm obviously pretty active in the kind of the broader community, so I spend a lot of time with leadership at a lot of different venues, like funds, like other things, which also kind of is probably how I do a lot more of my grassroots due diligence on other companies and a lot of stuff that's happening in the industry. So you definitely hear a lot of that. And there's a lot of like there's a lot of good kind of community channels as well, like whether it's kind of Telegram or kind of other areas where I think people post pretty good commentaries, like as things pop up. So yeah, it's all, I guess it's kind of all directions. There's the early morning update. There's the different community groups, and then there's other things, and then I guess for traditional finance, Matt Levine is my go-to for. He writes a kind of a pretty decent blog on breaking down like good news stories in that world. So yeah, but it's really a mix. I think it's most of the kind of the proper intelligence you usually get through your network before it kind of hits kind of like mainstream, and there'll be kind of rumors or musings, and you kind of validate a few things, and then it tends to be like a publication 3 or 4 days later. But it's, yeah, I think the network is probably the biggest for the network is probably the most useful for just kind of really understanding what's happening on the ground.
Love that. I'm so glad you said that. I must admit, in my kind of crypto experience, often most people getting into it for kind of
Yeah.
generational wealth and monetary gains and stuff. But what I definitely learned along the way, and I know it's really cliche, but your network, it really is your net worth, right? Building relationships with people and seeing what they can bring to the table and all the value they can add is way more often better than growing your bag size, right? But yeah, no, really really great to get
Yeah,
that from you.
massively. And just like adding to it, I mean, every publication has an angle, right? So you kind of like you just taking it with a pinch of salt. So if you can just get down to the brass tacks of what are the facts, or kind of what's happening, then you can kind of make your own informed decision on actually what's the impact of that, what's driving it. Yeah, how does that affect our business? How does it affect our customers, right?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Hence why the age-old crypto saying of, DYOR, do your own research,
Yeah, absolutely.
financial advice. By the way, we will be taking a tally of all of the crypto slang that we can use in this series as we keep going on, mate.
Good.
Whether
You always
it's
see like a ding. You need like a ding popping up,
maybe
like
we
number
get a
one.
tally on the screen. Yeah, definitely. We'll score it. Who uses it more? I guarantee it'll probably be me than you. But
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll brush up. I'll brush up. I'll work on that.
yeah, we'll bring you up to speed, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
No, absolutely love it, Josh. We'll look to wrap this one up, but I do have another kind of question for you. Obviously, you must have a super hectic schedule. I know every time I get the pleasure of talking to you, you're in a different country or you're doing something else. I mean, where are you right now?
Yeah, so actually, I'm at our offices in Amsterdam. So Amsterdam right now, which is a lovely place. Like I really like Amsterdam. It's yeah, just everyone just seems so happy here. Such a happy, like happy villagey kind of vibe. But yeah, so it's yeah, that's where I'm right now.
No comment on the coffee shops, but yeah, no, absolutely, mate. And I know you was in Italy recently as well. So what's it like, kind of trying to balance that work slash personal life thing, being a crypto CEO, CEO of a cryptocurrency exchange?
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's just in a nutshell, it's hard, right? I think you have to be you have to be on the road. I think like, you know, it's like you have to kind of be meeting with and really kind of understanding what's going on in the market, and seeing clients and understanding kind of what your clients are looking at and what's changing. Just you're kind of, you know, you're evolving the business and thinking about it in the right way, plus kind of getting our message out there for what we want to build. So you just like, it's by nature you have to do that. But you know, I think the beauty of it is that I do kind of luckily get to spend a lot of time on the product development, on the tech side of things, on, you know, the operational side of things, and you know, maybe some of the stuff that people might find more boring, but actually quite enjoy. So that kind of tends to ground me a little bit more as well. And whilst, you know, I kind of do quite a lot of traveling, it means I'm still getting a few days sat with the guys, you know, working on whatever else it is that needs to be done. And so kind of that's kind of, I guess I kind of treat that as my opportunity to, you know, catch up with the family in the evening, and then you know, my weekends are, I guess, are probably a bit more sacred, where I'll try and, you know, just pending disaster or some like imminent product launch, I can actually just, you know, spend a bit of time with the family and make up for the kind of traveling. Plus, there's obviously, it involves me bringing back a lot of chocolate and other things from wherever I travel from. So
There has to be some
yeah,
perks, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Not that that's a good substitute, I guess. But yeah, so probably just, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's also quite enjoyable as well sometimes. So yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, can't
Well,
complain.
Josh, appreciate it, mate. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. This is episode one of a Diary of a Crypto CEO. We're going to aim to run this pretty regularly. Always going to be checking in with Josh, and potentially over time checking in with other members of the One Trading team as well, and just really giving you guys some insight into what's going on at One Trading. Also, as well, just getting the team's take and Josh's take on the market, industry trends, and also, yeah, insight into what it's like running a crypto exchange. So, Josh, really appreciate you joining us. Safe travels, mate. Is there any final words you want to say before we close this one out?
No, I no, just other than obviously kind of this is a bit of fun. I think it'd also be great. We'll get some guests on as well outside of the one trading world. Some of our partners, and I think it'd be quite fun to hear some of their views as well. But yeah, and stories as well, because I think that's the other thing. I mean, there's a lot of really good stories. I think that's probably, you know, the thing I found from being in this for the last couple of years is you sit down with people and everyone have got like a really good, fun story. So I think we'll kind of have to get some of those out, for sure.
Amazing. Love
Cool.
it, mate. Definitely. People buy from people. We want to be absolutely exposing some of that and sharing that with everyone. I think that's super great, mate. So yeah, appreciate you sharing. One last point from me. If everyone is kind of new to seeing this, make sure you're following us on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now. Also, make sure you click on the link tree link, which is in the main One Trading bio. You'll see all the links where you can be following us across all the socials. Do make sure you join the Discord. That's where the hub of our community sits, where we'd love to hear from you guys. At the moment, we're getting your take on new tokens that you want us to add onto instant trade. So make sure you're telling us which tokens you want. as we're launching and adding those on a frequent basis. So yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in and watching this. And yeah, everyone, take care.